Hi, I'm Mina Malik Hussain and you're watching The Coffee Table. And I don't usually use the word superwoman or supergirl lightly, but I feel like it really applies to today's show because I'm so excited to be welcoming two young ladies on set today who have been doing such wonderful and interesting and intrepid things in Pakistan. And you're in for a really great show. So I'm really, really happy today to welcome on set for the first time. I think this is my youngest guest ever. It's Miss Natalia Najam, who, as I'm sure you are aware, has set the world record, has broken the world record in chemistry by arranging the elements of the periodic table in 2 minutes and 42 seconds. Which is fantastic, and the Guinness Book of World Records agrees. And joining me with Natalia is her wonderful mom, Sheena Afzal. And via Skype, we are being joined by Samar Khan, who is an adventure athlete and is the first woman in the world to have cycled at 4,500 meters on the Biafo Glacier in the Karakoram, which is in Gilgit-Baltistan, and has summited Mount Kilimanjaro. And not just done that, but she cycled on it. So, my mind is blown. So, hello. Welcome to the set, guys.
Thanks. Hello, hello.
It's really nice to see both of you here because I really feel like this is like a team effort.
Absolutely.
So, Natalia, you've just turned 10.
Yes.
Yes, and you had a really cool birthday from what I hear. But when you sort of got down to setting this world record, you are actually only just 9. That's really cool. Now, can I ask you a very obvious question? Is science your favorite subject in school?
I am currently not in school, but yes.
But schooling and learning.
Yes.
That's fantastic. So tell me about clearly you are familiar with the periodic table. And the periodic table, which I clearly can't pronounce, is basically like a table that has all of the elements, all these sort of chemical elements on it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All of them?
Yes.
Okay, because again, I don't know any chemistry.
There are 118 elements in the periodic table.
Oh, okay. So then basically you memorized all of them.
Not exactly memorized. I made up little stories to know where you put them.
Oh, that's really cool. So then how is the periodic table arranged? Like, is there a method to it?
Yes, it's arranged by their atomic number.
Okay.
And there's not really their symbols, but because they're all around, but they're atomic numbers.
Okay.
But because that would kind of be cheating and it'd be easier for anyone to arrange it, so there were no atomic numbers, there were only symbols when I was doing it.
Oh, so in a normal periodic table, there is a tiny number. So if it's like Fe and then there's like 2, for example. I know, I'm sure this is probably wrong, but you know what I mean. Yeah, Natalia's like, there's no such thing. That's not
it. It is helium.
But Fe is a thing.
Yeah, Fe is a thing.
It's
I
iron.
remember some science.
It's iron.
Yeah. But there usually is a number. So you're saying that when it was record time, there was no number.
No, just symbols.
Just the symbols. So then you had to kind of remember which goes where. That's really, really interesting. That's really fascinating. I really like the idea of having a story about it as well. And I'm going to sort of ask you about that in like 2 seconds. But I just want to say hi to Samar first. Hi, Samar.
Hi.
How are you from, far away in Islamabad?
I'm so good and I'm so happy to see you all.
We are really excited to be talking to you as well. So Samar, tell me, you are an adventure athlete. Now, what does that mean? Because that's different from regular boring athlete.
Actually, it's very, very different from conventional sports. What I do, there are 2 types of sports. One is very conventional and traditional, which you see inside the courts and inside the sports complexes, inside proper premises. But adventure sports, it's always done on mountains, around mountains and outdoors, and it involves a lot of life and death risk. So you take that sports on your own consent that it could be dangerous, but still you pursue it because of your passion or your love for mountains. So I do mountain biking, and I also recently started snowboarding, and I'm also training in these sports under my initiative so that I could promote action sports in Pakistan.
That is so cool, because I hear a lot about people having adventures on motorcycles, for example, but we don't really hear so much about the people on cycles, for example, and snowboarding also sounds really fun. So Samar, tell me, how did you get into adventure sports? Because, and I know that this is probably something people ask you a lot, but the fact is that in this part of, the world, girls aren't really encouraged to do any kind of sport, let alone adventure sports.
So people normally think that I might be coming from some sports family or, some very strong background. But the thing is, when I started action sports, like I started from paragliding course. It was a 1 week course and it involved a lot of physical training as well. So that 1 week entirely changed my mind towards life and towards sports, that no, it is not only for men, that no, it is not only for elite class. No, it is not only for Western countries. We have such destinations in sports. All we can have to do is, just take the first step and start doing something, set examples to open the minds of others that it is also for us. So that's how I started. Then I went from Islamabad to the highest international border, Pakistan and China. It took me almost 10 days.
Wow. And
so it's the highest international border, and it's really, really beautiful.
And you did this you cycled from Islamabad to the Khunjerab Pass. Was it the Khunjerab Pass?
Yeah, it is Khunjerab Pass, and I had to ride on Karakoram Highway, which is the most beautiful place, surrounded by majestic mountain ranges, Karakoram, Hindu Kush, Himalayas. So it was an amazing experience, and it opened up my eyes towards action sports, that yes, I have to take it as a career, though it involved a lot of hard work because we don't have the foundation.
Yes.
But the journey was really amazing. Yeah.
No, it's true, and I'm also really, really impressed by the fact that your first foray into adventure sports was paragliding. Of all the things to do, you jumped off a cliff. What was that experience like? What made you decide that paragliding was the thing you wanted to sort of start with?
When I started paragliding or, action sports, overall, I had a lot of fears. I had height fears. I had traffic and road fears. I couldn't deal with crowd and public. Like, I was very introvert.
Oh, my God.
But during my first flight, I crashed badly. I have broken my nails and, scratched my fingers. But still, I wanted to try that more, and I wanted to face my fear. But that the long flight was really, really amazing. There is nothing inside your feet, under your feet, then there is nothing over, and you are standing nowhere. You're just somewhere in the air.
Wow.
And imagine yourself hanging in the air for good 2-3 minutes, and wind is blowing, and you are, flying in the clouds and in the sky. It was I can't explain it.
Wow, it sounds amazing and also terrifying. I'm sitting here on my cozy couch and just thinking, oh my God, if you were scared of heights and then you just kind of jumped off a cliff, I imagine I'm terrified indeed. Wow. But speaking of being scared, Natalia, I've watched the video of you putting your pieces together, and you looked very calm doing it. Did you feel calm?
You have not seen the behind the scenes, but it did take a few takes. But I was not very calm. I just looked calm on camera.
I know, because you were so methodical and you were just super focused.
I was focused, even though there was screaming going in my ears.
Oh my God. Was it noisy in the room? It was noisy.
Highly. Yeah. And as soon as I got the time, then my ears.
Yeah, I saw that. It was such a nice moment because you were just
oh, come on.
So exciting, because when I saw it, even I was just like, yes, she did it, even though I knew you'd done it, but it was still really exciting. So tell me, so whose idea was it? Was it Mom's idea or was it your idea to break a world record?
Team effort.
Team effort, which is really cool. And I'm asking the question because I think that it is such an interesting and fun way to interest a child in the sciences as well. Sheena, and you don't have a science background.
No, I just got as far as pre-medical, so I don't really have a science background. But for her, since she used to be really little, like 4 or 5 year old, she'd just be so fascinated that if I put this with this, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
So we'd have explosions in the house. We'd have stuff stuck on the ceilings and in the walls, and it's crazy. And I would encourage that.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. That why are you ruining stuff and things like that. So she's just very, very curious. How is this made? Who made it? Let's find out what's inside.
Yeah.
So to answer all those questions, we would be learning all day long. So it's not about opening up books and sitting down and memorize stuff.
Yeah.
It was just like a very, very constructive, creative solutions to learning.
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because and I think a lot of modern schooling approaches also have a lot, there's a lot of discourse and there's a lot of talk about learning by doing.
Yes.
And I think that sounds like exactly what was happening at home where, Natalia was doing a little, tiny Natalia was doing a little science experiments.
Yeah. So, I mean, kids this age, they would ask for like toys and gifts and all. She would say, oh, I want a chemistry kit.
Yeah.
I want a microscope. I want a telescope.
I want a cat.
Now it's progressed to animals. She's an animal. She's crazy about animals. So everything boils down to how do I save them? So now what she wants to do when she
For
grows
this record,
up.
even my reward was like getting 3 animals.
Excellent. So that was your motivation
Yes,
to break a world record was to get 3 animals. And how many did you have before that?
I had 2 dogs. I had 4.
Yeah.
You had 4. So then you wanted 2 more, you wanted 3 more?
3.
3 more. So now you have a grand total of 7 pets.
I have 2 more to go. I already
We're
got
negotiating on the latter part of the deal.
But I am ready to get my puppy.
You're sort of leafing through the Guinness Book of World Records to see what you can do next.
No. Let's not even talk about that.
For now.
No, keep your ideas to yourself.
Sure. So Samar, I want to hear more about that first journey of yours, the cycling one that took you all the way to the glacier. So sort of, where did that idea come from? Like when did you decide that this was the particular kind of adventure that you wanted to go on next after your paragliding?
I wanted to bike on some challenging spot, and that too in Pakistan. So I was researching actually on the mountains. Then I came across that the world's largest glacier is present in Pakistan, and most of us don't know about that. So it is very, under shadow, and I have to highlight it somehow. Then I decided to bike on it. So I chose the part Biako because it was very non-commercial and it's almost 67 kilometers long, so very, very long. And I could find a lot of rideable places because there's a spot when the glacier divides into different types. So that's how it was done. I biked to Kardu it took me almost 14, 15 days next year, and then I hired a team. We hiked up to 4 or 5 days, and after the 4th stage, I assembled my bike and I started riding. And though it was very slippery and very, very cold, like -10, -15, and a lot of snowstorms, jumps over the crevices.
Crevices! So you had to kind of, with your cycle over a crevice?
Yeah, on small crevice, I would have, I could ride, but on the big crevices, I have to throw my bag, then pass the cycle, then jump on my own.
Oh my gosh! Wow, so here you are in -10 cold on a glacier, and here you are just kind of jumping over crevices with a bike. Wow, that's amazing. And I want to talk to you more about this, and we're going to take a very quick break, but we're going to be back in 1 second, so stay with us. Hi, welcome back to the coffee table. We're talking to Natalia Najam, Science Whiz, her mom Sheena, and Samar Khan, who is an intrepid, fascinating adventure athlete, and she was just telling us about how she decided to be the first Pakistani to cycle across the Biafo Glacier, and then she was also jumping over crevices in the glacier, which is basically a massive hunk of ice. Samar, how did you train for this? Because I'm sure you have to do that because, you have to be freakishly strong to have a backpack and a cycle and then also be climbing mountains. And this is all a lot of really intensive body strength required for all of this?
It was actually the first time that I was entering in real raw mountains and in very remote areas. So I was actually very stressed that because, I had no coach initially, no sponsors, no idea of how to manage all this. So I had to research a lot. I designed my own training plan, my own nutrition plan. So I hiked a lot, like multiple times on Margala Hills. I with the heavy bag on the shoulder so that I could train myself carrying the weight and also hiking up. And then there were speed hikes as well to, for the endurance. Then very good meal, a lot of dry fruits. And whenever you are on mountains, I got this remedy, desi remedy from the locals that you have to have dry apricots in your mouth and you have to, keep munching on it. Along with it handles the height sickness thing.
So, Natalia, tell me, Samar's been talking about how she trained to, ride cycles across glaciers and climb mountains and stuff. How did you train to memorize the periodic table?
In a nice, safe environment called my house.
Oh, man, so you weren't sort of, running up hills with, an encyclopedia on your head?
No! I didn't use an encyclopedia, but we were in my dining room.
Yeah.
Because it had the perfect height. So we were like, got the whole board made of, I don't know what kind of wood. But
You had a board.
yeah, with tiny little wood pieces.
Okay.
So she had to write all the symbols. But I started off with the whole symbols, like the full-on name, not symbols.
Right. Yeah.
That's how I started off.
Helium, oxygen,
Good girl.
carbon. Look at me. Iron, and others.
Gold, silver.
Gold and silver. Yes. What's gold? It's not G. It's something else. A. G.
AJ.
Again, I'm learning as we go. So then you had this board, and then you started out with the full names, and then you kind of started putting them together. And now on a traditional periodic table, it's also kind of color-coded, isn't it?
Yes.
It is.
Yeah. What is the colors?
According to the Guinness guidelines, we could not use any colors.
Oh.
Everything had to be uniform, and we could only have the symbols on it.
Okay.
So nothing else. So the Guinness guidelines,
stringent.
very, very strict, extremely strict guidelines. And we had to follow all of them. Firstly, they say go and get a commercially produced one. I was like, where am I supposed to get a commercially produced one in Pakistan?
And what does that even mean?
That means that some factory needs to have manufactured that. Except I
couldn't make your own.
No.
Oh, okay.
But then I was like, you tell me, where can I buy one
that has no color and has no atomic numbers or anything.
No, even the basic ones, you can just get posters in Pakistan. You can't get anything else.
That's true.
It's not like there's a whole line of kids or people trying to learn how to increase their speed in putting the elements down.
It's a very unusual thing to ask of a periodic table.
So I had to basically create it for her. So we tried three different types.
Yeah.
And then learning the periodic table was not a problem. That was done like that.
Yeah.
But just increasing the speed, it was a bit, this whole thing changed into a sport. Because I had like a timer in my hand, a stopwatch, and I felt like a coach, like a football coach who's continuously after her. All right, we got to do this, increase the efficiency.
The thing was, she didn't have a whistle.
I wanted to get the whistle, but because of the COVID situation, shops were not open and I was not able
Saved by the pandemic.
Yes. And my father, he had a very important role.
And what was that?
Saving me from her.
Well, I think that this is how moms and dads roll in all
Good cap,
households.
bad cup, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So then you had to do all of this, and then it became, like you said, a matter of precision and a matter of speed.
So it was not about getting it in the wrong place, the elements or the pieces in the wrong place anymore. I would quiz her, like I'd just randomly move stuff around. I was like, does this look right? She goes, do not challenge me. This is incorrect. It's supposed to go
Yeah,
here.
let me just tell you.
Yeah.
That's the whole point, really.
No, once I just left her, like, do it yourself.
Such a cruel girl, Natalia. You're like, Mom, you have to do it yourself now. you have to be brave and learn
Yes,
on your own.
And then we used music, which was the best
Oh.
part because it was in such a short period of time that she did not have enough time to kind of look at the watch and see what her speed's like. So then we sifted through a whole bunch of different songs. And to see, I needed the beat change in the music to give her the cue that it's time to put the next one.
That is
in
fantastic.
1.22 seconds.
That is such an amazing way to learn how to do anything,
Exactly.
really. So you basically found a song that worked and you went with the beat.
Yes.
What song was it?
Imagine Dragons Believer. I even got a message from them.
You did?
Yes.
Crazy.
They
What
said,
an appropriate song also.
yes, absolutely. And so the
very
beat was
child-friendly.
perfect. It was 1.22 seconds. The beat would change. So giving her the cue is time to put the next one down. And because she did not have time to look at the watch.
Yeah, so
And
she wasn't distracted by anything, and it was just really just a sort of ears and eyes and brain
rhythm,
situation.
exactly. Just creating the rhythm. And
It's fantastic.
yeah, so we went, because every day we would try to shave off a couple of seconds. So then we would change the song also, or I would speed up the song a little bit so that, you know, the speed, at the end, she was doing it in 1.11 second.
What?
So
That is like much less than the actual record
The time
time.
I have done at home was 2 minutes and 14 seconds. But I was 9 at the time. I am still a child.
Indeed.
But like
This is true. But now
Why
you
are
are
you
10.
laughing?
true story, true story, absolutely.
there were lights in my eyes and then
It was
cameras.
noisy,
and
and, you
tune in.
know, a lot of people holding their breath.
If anyone's seen the video, they saw me screaming.
I saw you screaming, but right at the end, I was like astounded by your sort of composure.
She actually got alarmed because the timekeepers were so excited.
They were just, you could see them, they were like vibrating with
They
their
just screamed
stopwatch.
so loud. She's like, "Oh my God, what is happening?"
I really like how everybody seemed really invested in it, because I just think it's so exciting that, you know, it's not just breaking a world record, it's a young lady breaking a world record. And I think that makes it a bit more exciting because the record is previously held by an adult.
Absolutely, a PhD professor in chemistry who's done this all her life.
Yeah.
And she's an adult. So you see, the way it works is when the child's born and when they grow older, so their brain and hand and, you know, cognitive functions, they develop.
Yep.
The finesse develops, right? So for her to challenge a PhD grown-up person, her hands are way more refined than hers are.
Yeah.
So it was all about the speed at the end. It was a fantastic journey.
It was also like nimble little hands also.
Nimble little hands.
Nimble little
So we had
hands.
to
Nimble
keep
little
them
brain.
thin and small, and you know, the pieces so that you know, and the beat so that, and enough friction so that they don't go flying everywhere. Except
a lot of behind the scenes by flying pieces all over the room.
Yeah, but it's really fascinating that there's so much detail, scientific detail that has gone into it. It wasn't just a matter of putting pieces on a board.
Absolutely.
Even friction. That's like tremendous to consider.
absolutely.
So Samar, speaking of like things that you have to consider, when you went to Kilimanjaro, so tell me about that, because I think that project was a very different one from the Biafo project, because with the Glacier project, you didn't have support from anyone really, and it was a passion project that you did more or less on your own and you figured it out. But I think that the Kilimanjaro expedition was then a slightly more supported one. So you basically climbed up the mountain first and then you cycled across it? Is that correct?
Actually, riding all along wherever I was finding the, you know, convenient land, because it was all uphill. So it was very different from Pakistan because it had no mountain ranges. It was a freestanding mountain, a dormant volcano.
Yes.
And then I had to, I entered through a tropical forest, like it was a very dark, dense forest with a lot of animals. And you could see very different animals crossing, you know, right in front of you.
Really?
And
Like what? What kind of animals live in that
crossing who's
jungle?
not, and then you enter into moorlands, then you cross through an alpine desert,
An
and you finally
alpine-
entered into a snow.
Blowing my mind here. An alpine desert is a desert in the mountains, right? So you sort of had to go through a jungle, and then you had to go through a desert, and then you were actually still on a mountain all along. Like, wow! So does that require different kinds of training as well? Sort of, because these are all very different terrains.
Yeah, and then the last part was very tough because you have to leave by midnight, like 12 a.m. in the dark. It was -7, -8. It was snowstorm, and I was, holding my bike like this. And there was this tiny single track.
So there you were at almost night, holding your cycle on this snow in a snowstorm, on a tiny path.
Yeah, so it's a single track. You have to go all up and twisting and turning, and it takes almost 8 to 9 hours to reach the top, and you get there by sunrise. So that was very, very tiresome and difficult because we had, these small head torches, and there were like 5-6 groups. I was the smallest one with a Pakistani flag. So I reached there by sunrise, and I,
oh my God.
when I saw the, board, welcome to Kilimanjaro.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, that was really energizing.
Wow.
And then I recorded my message, and I...
That's amazing. And you saw the sunrise on top of Mount Kilimanjaro.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh, how amazing. How did you feel at that moment with your Pakistani flag in your hand, after having braved jungle and a desert and a snowstorm to reach the top of this mountain? Wow. How did you feel in that moment? What were you thinking?
It was a fun journey, yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm just getting goosebumps just thinking about it. To take a very quick break, and we will come back in 1 second to this fascinating conversation. Stay with us. Hi, welcome back to the coffee table. We're having this riveting conversation with these fascinating young ladies from Pakistan. So, Natalia, I'm going to ask you a very obvious question. And what do you want to be when you grow up?
I have 2 things I want to be. I want to be a vet. This is like a side project, but I want to make animal cruelty-free products and vaccines. But I do want to open up a shelter.
That's amazing. I think that is so special because you love animals.
Yes.
And I think that it's also really important because in Pakistan, a lot of the times people tend not to take animal rights seriously. Because we are a poor country and people are like, you should look to humans before you look to animals. And I personally don't think that that's fair because everybody deserves a chance. So I think that being a vet actually sounds like a really, really good idea. I think that would be a really cool way to kind of blend a love for animals and an interest in science. That's very cool. So when you talk about cruelty-free vaccines, what does that mean?
Probably every girl knows this. Pretty much everyone.
Or boy.
Yeah.
Person.
Every person knows this. But the products that we use, makeup, are tested on animals.
Yes.
And in labs. So they can die, they get diseases. So dogs, cats, pigs,
Rabbits,
mice. Turtles.
Turtles.
Yes. It's awful what they do to animals.
Yeah. So you want to kind of develop ways in which we can develop vaccines or other things like cosmetics without harming any animals. I think that's really special, and then I think that's really important. I think it's really interesting to do it in Pakistan also because it'll be something that will make other people think about that as well.
But not every brand tests on animals.
Yes, that's
not
right.
Every brand, but still not fair. They're also living things.
Absolutely. And the human beings are smart. Like, we should be able to find ways to advance science without harming other living creatures.
Yeah, like plants or animals.
Yeah.
It's not like animals can't save your life.
Yeah,
Ours have.
Yeah. Or that they don't have feelings or that they don't feel pain.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important, very special. Good idea. So Samar, tell me, you do a lot of work for the advancement of adventure athletics in Pakistan, but you're also a WWF Goodwill Ambassador. So tell me about both things.
My sports, actually, it's luckily eco-friendly, and you can see mountain biking as eco-rides because it doesn't emit carbon. It's very, very environment-friendly. It doesn't make noise. So it complements the nature. Also snowboarding, snow sports. So what I do with WWF Pakistan, that I complement their cause with my own sports by promoting mountain bikes. And we also generate awareness on environmental conservation, because Pakistan is among the top 10 countries which are under threat of climate change. And we need a lot of awareness, a lot of forestation, cleanup drives, and using and normalizing such transports. One of them can be cycling, which complements and which preserve and, the idea of environmental conservation, because you normally see on roads there is a lot of traffic, a lot of pollution, a lot of noise. But just imagine that entire scene and replacing that with bicycles. So that will change the entire, environment.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of Scandinavian countries that have done this, where they have got specialized bike lanes, and there is a culture of cycling to places. So it's not like developed countries are unable to sort of use these practices. They can. Like, it's very possible to do this.
And the policies have changed drastically, especially in COVID timings, because now people realized that even by keeping distancing, they can do workout, they can stay healthy. By taking up bicycles as their normal commute. They dedicated special lanes to bicycles, to running, jogging tracks. And I think we need to implement the similar ideas in Pakistan.
That's great. So can you a little bit about summer camp, for example, which I love the name, love the little pun there. So because if there are aspiring adventure athletes watching this show, for example, like what would you suggest they do? Where can they go to kind of look for resources, to train, to find a coach? Because you do need a coach as well for these things. Like it's a fairly complex sport to get into.
Yeah, that was the objective behind it, because when I started, I couldn't find any coach, any direction, any information. So now I want to pave the way for others, so that if they want to mountain bike, they know which bike they need, where they can ride, which is the ideal track, which is the beginner's bicycle, and which is the pro bicycle, and then where they can snowboard, where they can ski, where they can go for technical hikes, the mountaineering destinations. So I want all these things to open up for Pakistanis, at least, because international climbers and mountaineers and skiers, they're already well aware of these.
Yes. And a lot of them come to Pakistan to climb. But again, it's a sort of completely different beast as well, because, adventure sports and, rock climbing, for example, it's not necessarily the same thing.
There are like a huge line of action sports. Bungee jumping is action sports, rock climbing, riding, paragliding, rafting. Like, there's a huge list. And that's the idea of launching such ideas, bringing those Western adventure sports to Pakistan, because we are surrounded by such destinations. We are among the countries having 8,000 peaks out of 14, longest glaciers, high altitude lakes, off-road tracks, desert safari opportunities. Like, we have everything. It's really diverse.
Yeah, and there's so much potential there, not just for us, but also for tourism and for other athletes to come to Pakistan and be able to kind of use these, use this potential, as it were. And I think that if we went sort of hand in hand with sort of doing it in an environmentally responsible way, I think that would be ideal for us. It would be amazing. So, Natalia, now that we are coming to the close of our show, or that'll be Sheena, actually, because this might be in the grown-ups question also, is that how can we encourage kids to get into STEM, and specifically girls? Because I think that a lot of the times it's a very gendered space still, where boys are encouraged to do sciences and engineering and math, but girls, it's still seen as a thing that girls don't really necessarily have to do.
It all boils down to parents and what kind of household are you coming from. I think girls really can be fantastic at it, just being given the opportunity. And I don't think science is kind of gender-based. It doesn't have anything to do with anybody's gender. You could be a boy, girl, anything.
Absolutely.
And you can get into science, and it's just an opportunity that the parents need to provide.
Yeah, to sort of keep an open mind, and if your child does show an aptitude, is to create an environment in which either one of your children, boy or girl, can just sort of explore their talents to the fullest.
Absolutely.
Really. And I think that there's so much in STEM learning that is useful, even if you don't pursue it as a career later on. But it should be something that, everybody should do.
You see, I think children are not really 100% sure how their life is going to turn out. But you just need to give the right ground work, or fundamentals, I would say, foundation.
Yeah.
And I think there is no other foundation any better than the STEM foundation.
No, guys, clearly it's working. So, Natalia, what are your plans now? Do you want to break another world record, or are you okay for now?
I'm okay for now.
Yeah, until you want
I'm
another pet.
keeping her ideas to herself for now, as you saw in the beginning. But she's keeping her ideas to herself for now.
Or until you want another pet.
Oh, I'm already getting 2 more. So.
We're in the process of negotiating.
No,
Excellent.
there's
Yes,
2 more
negotiations
coming.
are very important. So right now you've got dogs and you've got cats.
And I'm getting maybe finger monkeys. Maybe I'll get another dog. Finger monkeys
Sheena,
are...
good luck with the monkey.
Finger monkeys are teeny tiny monkeys that like attached to your finger.
They're like that big.
Are they like actual animals?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, is it a toy? I don't know how it goes these days.
They're toys like that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Finger monkey. If you get one, I would like to come and meet it. Because that sounds
I'm
like a
probably
parasite.
just getting 2 more dogs.
Or just 2 more dogs, like monkey dogs. You know, it's all in a day's
Maybe
work.
not monkeys. Our cats are very playful
That's also true.
and very protective.
Yeah, why not?
But we're in the process of negotiating. Let's see.
As one must, so learning many skills at the same time, not
Absolutely.
just chemistry, but negotiation, convincing people. Thank you so much, guys, for being on the show. This is really wonderful. It was so nice to meet you, Natalia, and Sheena, and Samar over there through Skype. Thank you guys for watching. If you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. Look up these wonderful young women doing such fascinating things in Pakistan. Be inspired. You know, we can all do this. Girls in STEM, yay! Girls in adventure sports. You know, the world is your oyster. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time on the coffee table. Bye now.